Wait no longer. Greatness has arrived. Welcome to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. I am your host, Joseph, and it is here on this very podcast where we talk about the latest and greatest in PlayStation each and every Thursday with my best friend, Kyle. And with all that said, with all that out of the way, greatest co-host, whoever is, whoever will be, Mr. Kyle Stevenson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. And much like Joe, when we put a tally mark where we talk about how much Battle Royale he plays, whether it's Fortnite or Apex, you can put a tally mark next to Kyle's a little under the weather. Feeling a little sick again. So let's put a tally mark up there.
And joining us today, Brandon from OkBeast. What's going on, sir? How you doing?
What is happening there, fellas? I'm glad to be here.
Man, happy you know what? We had happy to have you. You had a fight with Discord to get on Discord to get on this call. So thank you for powering through it. And yeah, man, it's been a journey this week. But before we talk about Anthem, before we talk about all the Days Gone news, Last of Us, Death Stranding, before we talk about all the latest and greatest in PlayStation, I gotta start with Kyle. Yeah. What have you been playing, good sir?
So I really put a lot of time over the past weekend into The Division 2 and its public beta. I played the VIP one, or whatever it was called, a couple weeks ago.
Private beta?
The private beta, yes. Enjoyed that fine. And this beta was pretty much the same, from what I could tell. But there was something about this weekend where it really hooked me, and I could not stop playing. I played for about 4 hours.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
And it felt really good. And there's still a lot of technical things that were going on, like pop-ins and textures not being there. I saw some weird hair again, like see-through hair like we did when we played together. But other than that, it's got a great gameplay hook, which is why I think people love the Division. And I can't wait, and it's coming out real soon. I think a couple days, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's coming out by the time this podcast comes out, it will be less than a week, and maybe by the time some people listen to this, it already came out.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Excited. I've tried it. I played it for about an hour, because if you play the open beta, you get some free stuff. You get like a weapon skin and stuff, so I was already down for that. You give me free cosmetics, I'm down, I'll play it. And for some reason, this one, it did the same thing. It spoke to me like the private beta didn't do. And yeah, I'm hooked. I'm in. I can't wait to play the Division. I also can't wait to get a squad to play that game for the long term. Because we're going to talk about Anthem in a minute. Oh boy. Maybe that'll be the game I talk about. I played the rest of the Anthem story. I played a bit of the end game, and I've come to the conclusion that I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait till things get a little fixed. Hopefully this game gets that Rainbow Six touch, where it wasn't the biggest hit when it first came out, but over the months, over the years, how the game grew to be something really large and impressive. That's what I hope for Anthem. So hopefully, maybe I'll jump back in maybe June or July when they have the first wave of all the cool stuff that they're going to do.
And the Cataclysm event, right?
Yeah, the Cataclysm event comes out, and I'll hop back in. But so far, the story, I feel like they can take it somewhere. I really like the second half of that game a lot. Some of the characters you meet later on, like Dax, Wraith in particular, Sexy Danger, awesome. Those characters are awesome, and I needed more of them than I think Halleck is his name. I just wasn't digging them. But I feel like the second half of that game really strong. It's a really strong second half. But at the end of the day, I just gonna pass on a little bit. Of course, I played a little bit of Apex, but that's just what I do, right?
Yeah.
I've been struggling with this whole college thing. I have my lit review. It's due. By the time this episode goes out, I would have already passed it, and I never had to think about it again, so I'm happy. And Brandon, our honored guest from OkBeast, we're kind of like chucking them off. Like those cards you get from a deli or like Subway back in the day, the punch card you get. Yeah. You get 6 of these bad boy hoagies, you get the 7th one for free. That's what we're doing with OkBeast. We got Blessing on. Now we have you. Hopefully we get Alex in the future. Man, Brandon, what have you been playing this week?
I've actually been juggling both of the two things that we've already mentioned.
Sweet.
Ooh, okay.
I played about 2 hours in the open beta for Division 2.
Nice.
And Division 1 I played only a little bit, and I think I actually played that in beta as well. And it didn't capture me. I never ended up playing the finished game at all.
Oh,
but this open beta really kind of grabbed me.
and what was it about this beta that got you that the first one wasn't able to?
It just seems to me it just seems more polished. And I like I don't know if the first one had it at all, but I like the aspects of like being able to upgrade your little hideouts, your bases.
Right.
And there's multiple things to do within the base to kind of upgrade the base. I don't know. Traditionally, I haven't been really into loot shooters or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just never really resonated with me. But I only played 2 hours. But in the 2 hours that I played, I was in it the whole time.
Is this a day one purchase for you, Brandon?
I don't know. It's kind of still up in the air. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. It may actually be because I don't know of any other games that I'm really stoked for that are coming out within the next month or two. Yeah, I don't know. It may actually be a day one purchase for me.
Okay. And you played a little bit of the Anthem as well. The Anthem. What am I? 6 years.
I did play the Anthem.
How are you liking it? Because I know you guys also have a Anthem podcast over there at OkBeast. You should talk about.
Yeah. We actually just finished recording episode 4 Freelancer Guide, but I think I'm closing in on like level 15, so I'm only I guess halfway to level cap's 30, right?
Yes.
So I'm about halfway there. I'm enjoying the story so far. I really like the characters that they've developed. I like the overall environments that they've put together. I think they've done a phenomenal job there. But I've run into a lot of bugs. And particularly, I've run into a lot of connection problems. So
we'll talk about those connection problems. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been interesting, but I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing some more of it. And I'm interested to see where it goes beyond that. But
awesome.
We'll see.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it because like there's a lot of people that I know I've been talking to that. Yeah, like they see the flaws, they see the connection issues, they experience the crashes, and they're still like, yeah, for what it is, I'm enjoying it. Like Luke last week, he still enjoyed his time with Anthem, and I enjoyed my time when I was able to play, but there's just some things I can't look past, like the loading screen issues that, again, for me, I'm just like, there are so many games coming out this month, like Devil May Cry is coming, which I'm hearing nothing but fantastic things about. We got Division, that it looks like a lot of people are hyped for. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, which, gang, a little bit of self-promotion. You guys follow us at PS Trophy Room or ladies. Like and retweet the pinned tweet. You get to enter yourself into the Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice giveaway. We find out the winners on the show on the 21st. But with all that said, I'm really excited for so many games coming out. So for me, I'm just like, let's just wait and see with Anthem. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. Hopefully it gets better for me. But with that, guys, first off, Brandon, well, you're a trooper today. I really want to thank you so much because we just mentioned a little bit before. And just so everybody knows, for some reason, Discord did not want to recognize Brandon's anything, like his mic, his camera. So for the past like 20, 30 minutes, when I say Brandon has been trying to figure out how to get this working. He plugged in his Kraken Kraken headset into his phone. And I'm looking up at you right now, Brandon. And I'm looking at, are you sitting in a chair? I hope you're sitting in a chair.
Yeah, I'm sitting in a chair. No, okay. I'm hunkered down on the floor.
That's what it looks like. Because I'm like, I swear to God, if he doesn't have any lumbar support, I'm going to freak out. With that, guys.
Yeah, I have to have lumbar support. I actually broke my back a few years ago, so there's no way I could sit for long periods of time otherwise.
You would be a major trooper. You're like, nah, Indian style, man. Cross legs, man. You know. With that, guys, let's get into the first bit of the goobers with our first story. Kyle, would you like to take it away, sir?
I would love to.
Oh, thank
Days Gone's 30-hour campaign will reportedly be 20% cutscene. This goober comes from IGN. The upcoming action-adventure game from Sony Bend Studio will include a roughly 30-hour campaign, and 20% of it will allegedly be made up of cutscenes. This 6-hour estimate was later confirmed on Twitter by Sam Witwer, who portrays the game's protagonist, Deacon St. John.
So with
Yay or nay?
Yay or nay is a good segment we have on the show. Kyle, we know you're a yay on this. You're hyped for this game.
And with this story in particular... Yeah. Who cares if there's 6-hour cutscenes? We're still going to get 24 hours of main story game, which does not include side quests. From what I heard from multiple outlets, the 30-hour campaign is literally just the main story, and side missions and stuff will add to it. So I'm super pumped for this. I mean, God of War, it was around 22 hours. Horizon was around the same 22 hours. So Days Gone seems to be in the same thing without the cutscene. So I'm totally fine with this.
Dude, and yeah, like for me, I've seen a lot of people. Brandon, what do you think about the 6-hour cutscenes? What do you think about the 30-hour length of the story?
6 hours seems kind of excessive.
Yeah?
And yeah, just a bit.
Well, why is that?
The other thing I guess I don't know, if you think about it, like like that would be the equivalent of 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's not a Jar Jar Binks in this, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Let's hope there's no Jar Jar.
But I don't know.
Okay.
I'd rather play 30 hours of good quality gameplay.
Okay. What about?
I understand that.
Because for me, like, I don't know, Brandon, are you like a big Metal Gear fan?
Well, I had played the original long ago. Yeah. But I haven't really played that much Metal Gear.
Okay, because like when I'm thinking of it, I'm thinking of like, well, everybody loves like Metal Gear Solid, and those cutscenes are long as hell. So when I see like a lot of people go like, what's that?
Especially Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah, Guns of the Patriots, right? You you move forward, and then like you got an hour. You just put your phone down, put the controller down, and you're just like, okay, I'm here for the movie. So like for me, I'm just like, all right, it's 6 hours. This is gonna be a lot of great storytelling for me. Like I'm not turned off one bit when I hear 6 hours of cutscenes. I think it's like,
yeah, awesome. I guess I really haven't experienced that many games like that have really long. I guess Last of Us is probably one that had longer cutscenes, and I think those fit for that type of game. I'm not
Yeah, I looked those up beforehand because I wanted to gauge like the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Last of Us, just the cutscenes alone they were close to 2 hours. I think they were an hour 40 total. But like Metal Gear Solid 4, I thought of immediately as well, Joe. And that one was 8 hours worth of cutscenes.
Oh, wow.
8 hours. Wow.
8 hours worth of cutscenes, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And again, like that game, great game, from what I hear. I remember my brother playing it again. So for me, I'm just like, I think of Metal Gear, I think I'm fine. This game, I just paid off the limited edition of it. Actually, before the show. Yeah, I'm pumped. Brandon, hearing all this news, we got 2 yays here. We're going to buy this game day one. Is this a day one purchase for you, or are you going to hold off at the very moment?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Days Gone.
Yeah.
Regardless of the cutscenes or otherwise, I have to imagine that the cutscenes definitely go with the progression of the story, and it's going to make sense anyway. So it doesn't really deter me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. And from what I hear, like apparently some of the like impressions embargoes are up, and because the whole Andy House rivalry between me and him, I'm not allowed to give my impressions. I played the game. but they won't let me say my piece because of the whole, me stealing Andy's mail. But it's worth it. It's worth it. But from what I hear so far, it's all really positive things. And I remember like a year ago, people echoing, "Oh, it feels like The Last of Us in Horizon. It's just nothing really special." And now we're getting to the final stretch of this game, and people are really starting to get really good feelings about this game. I was reading the Polygon article. Polygon hates everything. Like, seriously, I don't even think they like games. And they even said, like, the writer was just like, yeah, I'm at the end of this gameplay, tutorial thing, I was impressed, and I can't wait for this game. Yeah. And so I think we no longer have to fear that this is going to be a crackdown situation.
And you know what's great, Joe?
What's that?
Since we will both be at PAX East this year, Days Gone will be playable at PAX East. So I'm going to hop on that line as soon as I get there, and I'm going to play it as much as they allow me to.
Oh my God, yeah, no, me too. I cannot wait to play that game. I can't wait to meet the devs of that game.
Absolutely.
And just say hello. Like, it's just
and just thank them, because from the outside perspective, I feel like Bend has really fought through a lot of hurdles and jumped over a lot of hurdles.
Yeah.
To just get to this point where we are a month away from release, and just thanking them for sticking with it and sticking to their vision.
Yeah, and it's awesome because like a year ago they were just like, "We're not The Last of Us. Please stop saying we're The Last of Us." It's just like, and then like the early impressions of it, like, man, it must have been so hard to like get your head down and just work on this and not let the outside forces interfere with your vision. Mm-hmm. That must have been so difficult.
Yeah.
With that, before we move on to the next goober, Brandon, are you going to PAX East by any chance?
Nah, I really wish that I was. We've got several other people. Blessing and Alex are both going.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I won't be there.
Well, damn it, those. Well, you know what? I can't wait to. I was gonna say those damn cowards. Are like, wait, no, they're showing up. No, I can't wait to meet Blessing in person. I can't wait to meet Alex in person. Those guys, man. They're great, but you know what? I'm not going to stroke their ego anymore. No longer. Kyle, what's the next goober on the list, sir?
Speaking about Anthem, Anthem players say the game is crashing their PS4s. This is an update. The console powers down. When the game crashes, the console powers down and will not power on using the normal method of pressing the PS4 button on the controller, wrote one player. Mm-hmm. It is the same as if someone pulled the plug without properly shutting the hardware down, or if the power went out in the house. Sometimes the button on the front of the console works. Other times I have to unplug the console, then plug it back in. EA's response: "We're aware of a crashing issue some of you have been reporting for Anthem game. We're investigating and ask that you share your crash data reports. The method requires booting the console in safe mode by holding down the power button for several seconds until you hear two beeps. Mm-hmm. From there, players need to select the option labeled Rebuild Database. When that process is complete, the PS4 should be working again."
So this whole situation blew up a few days ago, and I didn't want to make a video on this just because I felt it was a little bit too premature, and I was correct. This story, there was just a few people on Reddit saying, my PS4s aren't working. And going into this whole, like, yeah, the game crashed, it wouldn't start back up, and here I am. And then so many other people just took this news, outlets took this news and ran with it. And I don't think that's fair, to be completely, I was just kind of beating up on Anthem before. I don't think it was really fair. I think if this was like a huge issue, that this was happening on every other person's PlayStation, then sure. But from what I heard on the Reddit, it was only a handful of people, handful of cases. And it seemed like not a lot of people did their research because not even anybody tried to do a hard reset on the PlayStation. So, for me, it goes to show Anthem cannot, it can't get a break. Can't catch a break. My first question to you, Brandon, since you played Anthem, you're enjoying it. First and foremost, are you playing it on Xbox One or PlayStation?
I'm playing it on PlayStation.
Ooh, that's so good to hear. Take that, Luke Lord. Take that, you coward. Just calling everyone a coward. So, have you experienced this weird crashing issue at all? Okay, hard edit out of the way. Ironically, when I asked Brandon if he's experienced any crashes, his Discord crashed.
That's awesome.
So Brandon, have you noticed any crashes on your PlayStation 4 when you're playing the game?
I have not had a crash. I have had severe connection issues, but I have had no crashes. And I will say that at least I kind of investigated this problem because I literally freaked out. Like my PlayStation is what I primarily play on now. And if I were to lose my PlayStation, I'd be handicapped. So I investigated this, and I almost jumped ship from Anthem entirely.
Oh, really?
So to the point that I got in touch with Sony support and was trying to get a refund, and they pretty much told me you're SOL, not going to happen.
Because that was another part of the story that people were reporting that they were getting refunds. So you tried, they were just like, nah, not happening.
Yeah, it's weird because this is a point where in the story where I'm starting to gain some momentum, and I really started enjoying it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden this news broke, and I just kind of freaked out. So I have a little bit of a technical background. I probably shouldn't have freaked out quite as much as I did, but I was kind of to a point where I was like, well, do I try to get a refund like immediately but from what I'm reading, there were people that were reporting that it was actually bricking their PS4, like it didn't work at all. Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't appear to be the case at all. It was, you needed to do a hard reset, or you needed to rebuild the database is one of the things that I'm reading. So those are kind of, granted, you shouldn't have to do that, but those are kind of simple fixes. So it's kind of like that uproar and
way less severe than a brick system.
Yeah, way less severe, but it shouldn't happen. And that leads to our first question of the night from Bohotep, who writes in saying this: what are your thoughts on companies releasing games before they quite feel ready for prime time? We've seen these issues over the years in games like No Man's Sky, Fallout 76, and most recently Anthem. With the internal pressure, is the internal pressure too much for some of these companies? At what point do they realize the risk versus reward? So my question, I'll lead into Kyle first, is what are your thoughts? Like, it seems like every other game that is this live service, this games as service, comes in, and the first stories you hear is, it's barren, there's not enough to do, or when it's, you got your bugs, like in the cases of Fallout 76, and lesser so in Anthem. So what do you think is the internal pressure there to get these games out?
I think it's just so they could get the product out and be the top of the news cycle for a little bit. They want to make sure they beat out some of these other big games, I feel. And with these three amazing examples that Bobo Hotep put in here, they each are different in their own way. Like, I feel like No Man's Sky's issues were that small team bit off more than they could chew. Yeah. And they promised more than what they could deliver. Yeah. Fallout 76, I think that was very much a rush thing in my eyes.
Yeah.
From Bethesda, because that's Bethesda. That's not Bethesda relying on another publisher or developer to help make that game and push it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with Anthem, I feel like they were, and BioWare specifically, I think they felt the pressure for EA. Like, hey, we need this big game. We need this big loot shooter with these amazing, javelins and this amazing world. We need to get it out
this date for the stockholders to be happy.
And I'm sure they saw how well games in the past did in February, how they crushed it in sales, and they got great reviews critically. Yeah. And I think they really wanted to hit it hard. And from an outside looking in, because I haven't bought Anthem, I'm waiting for everything to get fixed and feel a little bit more polished for me. It just feels like this could have waited a little bit, maybe for like a September release, like maybe closer to fall.
I got a little paranoid for a second because I moved the cup. I need to make sure the audience knows this. I moved the cup and it made a noise. The noise sounded like a fart. I need to make sure that the audience knows. none of us tooted. Okay, that was the alien mug. I swear to SHUE, it wasn't me.
I would totally embrace the fact if I farted right now,
Yes.
but I've got nothing. So,
Brandon, what do you think is the case with, like, obviously we can all kind of agree at this point, right? Anthem's a little undercooked. What is the pressure of getting this game out? What is the pressure on these publishers to release games that are in this state?
yeah, there are definitely deep business decisions at play.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt. I completely agree with Kyle as far as his summary of those different scenarios. I do think that EA pressure. The weird part is I think there's another layer at this because EA. I feel like EA did pressure BioWare into pushing Anthem out, but at the same time, EA is also about to, at the same time that Anthem was released, EA was also pushing Apex out, which is incredibly idiotic to me. Like, you've got like a sleeper hit on from Apex Legends, and then you're going to push something like, why release Apex Legends at the time that you did?
Well,
it's almost like if EA saw what Anthem was like close to release, or like they weren't happy with the build, and maybe they were pushing Apex, so they had a better thing out.
I don't think that's the case. To me, it shows two stories. It shows the one story of this is what happens when EA it puts its hands too much into a project, which that is Anthem, right? You had this game pushed out because they wanted to meet, a quota. They wanted to meet a sales number for stockholders by the end of March, right? They wanted to hit their sales numbers. They wanted to impress their stockholders, so they forced this game out. And I think when it comes to Apex, I think that game it just shows you what happens when EA just lets their developers create a game they want to create. And I think Apex was a game that obviously not the whole team at Respawn was making, because they're making Jedi Fallen Order, and now that game's going to have a whole new push when you have the creators of Apex Legends, on every tag of every article, of every video that Fallen Order is with, and coupled with the fact it's a Star Wars game. I think it shows that, like, Apex Legends, it was a smaller team. They had a more condensed or more concise vision of what they wanted this game to be, and EA was just like, okay, well, like, obviously they're using all the same assets from Titanfall 2, right? They're using most of the same, all the same weapons, so it obviously wasn't a whole lot of money to produce, and EA was just like, if it's a success, who knows? I don't think they ever thought this game would take on Fortnite the way it has, And I do think at the end of the day, it has hurt Anthem, because so many people see 6s and 7s. Everybody sees, like, dude, Mikey Ibarra, you might want to look at Twitch. I know you're looking at Mixer, but you might want to see the numbers over there on the streaming services, because I went on today, only 4,700 people were streaming Anthem. It goes to show the audience doesn't want to watch it. Streamers aren't invested in it. I've seen some streamers who have been promoted by Anthem, and then they play it for a few days and they drop it like a sack of bricks, and they're on to Destiny or they're on to something else. So it just goes to show when EA meddles in something and when EA lets something breathe. That's my bad bit rant of the night.
I do feel like there's hope, though. Like, for No Man's Sky is a perfect example. Like, No Man's Sky was trash when it came out. There were people that were, they're diehard people that played it from the very beginning. But I picked it up when the next patch came out. And when the next patch came out, I proceeded to put like 250 hours into that game. Wow. And I do not regret a single minute of it. After the next patch, I didn't play it prior to the next patch, but I can say that after that patch, it was a really fun game, and I enjoyed it. And I was looking for the Steelbook. Put that time in.
Yeah, I bought that game day one on PlayStation 4, Steelbook edition. Beautiful looking Steelbook, but I was right there with you, dude. It was just like, yikes, right?
Yeah.
I think you are right. I don't think this is the end of Anthem per se.
No, I don't either.
And I think you will see in the next 3 months if they're able to build off something and get some momentum back. But I don't see this game lasting, and I'll be completely Aretha Franklin with everybody here by saying, if this game doesn't see the steam pick up with this game within the next 6 months, you would see EA drop this thing like sack bricks. Because if they don't see any growth back into this game with the millions of dollars they've thrown at this game, EA is always the ones to say, is this game going to outperform FIFA? Is this game going to match Madden? And then if it's not, and if it's costing them money, yikes. That's all I can say. With that, though, spent a lot of time on Anthem. Let's talk about our next Scoober here. But before we do, Kyle, shout out to Mark.
Shout out to Mark.
Shout out to Mark.
Oh,
Mystery
boy.
Man U. THQ issues an apology for the asinine AMA with 8chan. This comes from Push Square. Kyle, take it away, sir.
It's been almost a week since THQ Nordic bafflingly hosted an AMA on ethically questionable website 8chan, prompting an unprecedented backlash due to the forum's connections with racism, hate speech, and unthinkably child pornography. CEO Lars Wingefors released this statement. This letter is to offer my sincerest apologies and regret for THQ Nordic GmbH Vienna's interaction with the controversial website 8chan last Tuesday, 26th of February. I condemn all unethical content this website stands for, even if no one within the THQ Nordic group would ever endorse such content. I realize simply appearing there gave an implicit impression that we did. As co-founder and group CEO of THQ Nordic AB, I take full responsibility for all of THQ Nordic's actions and communications. I have spent the past several days conducting an internal investigation into this matter. I assure you that every member of the organization has learned from this past week's events. I take this matter very seriously, and we will take appropriate action to make sure we have the right policies and systems in place to avoid similar mistakes in the future. As a Swedish-based, fast-growing group, we firmly support equality and diversity. We are also working actively to combat discrimination, harassment, and misconduct. We are already in the process of developing new work processes based on the United Nations SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and using the GRI, Global Reporting Initiative standards, and we will accelerate this work going forward.
Oh boy. So last week I had some strong thoughts about THQ, and at the end of that conversation, I walked away questioning if I were to purchase another THQ product. And I was thinking, is that extreme? Can I take the artists away from this decision being made? Because obviously, anybody creating over there at THQ, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully none of them are named Mark, because Mark didn't do his job. Maybe I could take away from supporting THQ by saying, well, you know what? These people don't deserve the backlash by one stupid idiot's mistake. Kyle, when we recorded last week, and it was one of our lost episodes, what do you walk away from this entire situation?
It made me feel extremely disgusting. I just don't see how it was possible for a company to agree to this. I understand reading this that they weren't aware of what the site was. It's hard for me to believe that. It really, truly is. It's
baffling. And so, do you walk away kind of the same way I'm thinking of man, I don't want to support THQ because, man, this whole PR thing was just insanely gross.
Part of me does agree with you,
yeah.
But then the other part of me is these developers who are making amazing experiences. Correct. I don't want to take away from them based on some higher ups stupid decision.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping when he says internal investigations that they get rid of whoever agreed to do it.
Right. Brandon, what do you think about this news about THQ last week going on a forum that is known for white supremacy, child porn, child endangerment, all that jazz?
I think it undoubtedly was a horrible decision, but I do think that it was entirely a case of no due diligence from a management perspective. Like you guys have already mentioned it, but I think like boycotting THQ would really hurt a lot more people than probably what we would want to do. I like THQ Nordic. Generally speaking, I like their games. I'm really looking forward to. There's a game called Wreckfest that's actually slated for PlayStation. I think like fall or holiday.
They have
season,
another game, Biomutant. It's supposed to come out this year too.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that one as well. But I think this is entirely. And the bad part is like I work in marketing, but PR is very similar. Yeah. Like if you're not doing your due diligence, then you're not doing your job. Like this is a blatant miss by someone. Like,
and that's the thing. Like I was saying last episode, is it's like you work in marketing, I work in PR. So I work in PR. I'm studying to get into the PR field, and like the first thing they always tell you is like, yeah, you like the loads of research you have to do before you make a move is astounding, and a lot of people don't like kind of like realize that on like you see all these type of like companies make certain statements or like we're going to host an AMA on Reddit or whatever. The amount of research having to go into an event is insane. And to see someone just go, yeah, we're going on 8chan. And of course, like, you know, last week, I admit it, I still do. I didn't know what it was until people were talking about it, but I'm not managing a multi-million-dollar, firm. Right? Like I'm not in control of THQ or their marketing or their PR. So like for me, I'm just like, how did everybody miss this? And when you say like Mark's gonna take away all the nasty stuff, then like you know what this site is. You can't play coy to it. And like when I highlighted it here in the notes, even if this comes from Lars, even if no one within THQ Group would ever endorse such content, but you did. And like, again, like shout out to Mark, that quote, you definitely at least had the idea of what this site was. I don't know. It leaves me baffled. And like when I see internal investigation, I'm just like, yeah, internal investigate. Like I don't know. Like it still doesn't feel right. My question to you, Brandon, what does this message from Lars, the CEO, and I can only think of Star Wars when I think of Lars. What do you think this message is? Is this hopeful for you that they learned the right lesson? Do you think they should have went a little bit farther? Someone at least should have gotten reprimanded. Like, what do you think?
I mean, this feels like a lip service forum letter to me. And initially, I forget where I read it at, but initially they asked him for a response, and they declined initially, and then they came back and decided to put out this this letter. So I don't know. Anybody could have written this if they've ever seen something like this. Anybody could have written this response. It's very form based.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you think walking out with that messaging? Do you feel a little better or you feel about the same?
I mean, sure, they addressed it, but I'm kind of feeling the same. Like Brandon said, it really feels like fill in the blanks with like names and companies, and it's very much a CEO from a company just trying to do damage control. And I hope something comes out of it, but I don't know.
Also, I just like how they're like, as a Swedish-based fast-growing group, I'm like, does that mean like just because you're Swedish you can't be racist? You know what I mean? Because just check back to 1940 where you guys were standing there. So don't give me that trash. Anyway, with that, and Kyle, at least Luke understood that reference. He's listening right now. He's like, I understand that reference. Kyle, let's get to the next goober. This one's a sad one for you. Do you want me to read it for you?
No, I'll read it, but I have my safety Vita. I have it right here to keep me company.
That's good. I'm digging a grave outside for it.
No, you will not touch this, sir.
Is it still warm?
Yeah, it's charged up. I play it all the time.
Excellent.
This comes from Polygon. RIP PS Vita. Sony officially ends production. Sony has ended production on the PlayStation Vita effective today. The company announced that the platform's 2 remaining SKUs have been discontinued on the Vita's official product page. The handheld's pending demise was known well in advance. A Sony senior executive said last year that manufacturing and shipping of all versions of the device would end this year. Sony stopped regularly publicizing individual platform sales in its investor reports in 2013, so there are no official numbers for how the PS Vita sold over its 7-year lifespan. Estimates by third parties have placed it somewhere in the range of 10 to 15 million units.
Yikes.
Sony itself stopped making games for the Vita in 2015, and in 2018 ended the production of physical media games for the device. February was also the last month that the PlayStation Plus subscription service gave out games for the platform.
Now, if I was SHUE, we understand that Shuhei Yoshida is a man that wears many hats. He runs a first-party division over at Sony Interactive Entertainment, but we also know Shuhei, he has his hands, his toes, his feet in everything that happens over at Sony, over at Microsoft, Nintendo. He might as well be the Illuminati. So if I was SHUE, we're stepping into the shoes of the great one right here, okay? We get to make one last Vita game. Because the Vita is dead, but we get one swan song to say, you know what? Here you go. What game do we make? Kyle, I'm starting with you.
Oh, wow. Man, I have so many ideas running through my head, but the one that I want so badly and I've wanted for so long is an Infamous on the Vita.
You got mine.
I want to play Infamous on the go, and like when I'm at my second job, when I have downtime, I want to play Infamous and just be a badass superhero.
I'd play that.
Yeah, I would love Infamous on a portable device of some sort. My runner-up, really quickly, is the BioShock game that never came out. That Ken Levine announced and said it was coming, and it never happened.
Dang. Okay, Brandon. You are secretly now Shuhei Yoshida. You can rip the mask off, or you can reveal yourself. What is the one game that you released for the Vita to give it the best swan song a console could ever have?
I don't know if it would be the best swan song, but you know, I didn't own regrettably I didn't own a Vita, but I own 2 different PSPs. I own like first generation PSP.
I love the PSP.
Yeah. And the game that I loved, and I know that the sequel came out for the Vita. The game that I really loved for the PSP was Patapon.
Oh yeah,
I played the hell out of that game. It was like so simple, and I don't know. I don't know. It's something so simple but so intriguing about it.
Right.
I would love to play like a sequel, like a Patapon 3.
That's a great one, because for me, I was thinking a little bit too big, and I think for a perfect swan song, you go, here's the last one, and it's something people are gonna really like. It's something small, internal that you can make for, you know, not the whole big budget. You have to throw the kitchen sink at it. I like that one. I like that Patapon.
Thanks.
They need to figure out what's going on with Patapon, because I played Patapon 2 at PSX 2 years ago. And it's still not out for PS4. What's going on?
I got it. Okay. Kyle, you took mine. Then I get this Patapon nonsense, and then I'm just like, where do I go from here? I got nothing. And then I thought, boys, where are we dropping? We're getting Tetris 99 on here. We're Shuhei Yoshida. We have successfully infiltrated Nintendo. Okay? And then all of a sudden, like, Shigeru Miyamoto, he's guarding the vault. He's just like, I know someone's going to hear. He's going to try to steal all the latest and greatest in Nintendo. Psych, we only have Mario and Zelda. And then and then here comes SHUE. He's just sneaking in. He's tiptoeing. Look at me. Look at my hands. He just slides on in, and then bam, karate chops Miyamoto. And then he just puts his hand on Miyamoto's forehead, and he reads Miyamoto's mind while he's in stasis. And then he knows the lock combination. Boom, spins the wheel. The vault opens. he just takes Tetris. He doesn't want the dumb plumber or the dumb idiot with the green hat that's been out of style years ago or whatever. Metroid, that game's never coming out. And so he's just running with the gold nugget that Nintendo has. That's Tetris 99. And he's going to put it on the PlayStation Vita.
I feel like you've put a lot of thought into this.
No, absolutely not.
Welcome to watching Joe descend into madness, Brandon. I get to witness this every week.
Oh, that's what I would do. Here we got a new segment. Just wait. Before I die from laughter, then I was just like, you know what? That was so brilliant. I got to put a time code on it. I have a new segment for you. Okay? It's called Kyle. I'm the jump master now. Look at me, Kyle. I'm the jump master now.
Okay.
Apex Legends shatters Fortnite's days to 50 million player record. I will read this for you, sir, because I love Apex Legends more than life itself at this very point. It took less than 30 days for Respawn's developed Apex Legends to pull in 50 million players, publisher Electronic Arts announced Monday. That's compared to Epic Games' Fortnite, which took about 100 days to hit 45 million players. That massive download number underlines the fact that in the early days of success of the Battle Royale shooter wasn't a flash in the pan. That comes from, by the way, let me just make sure, Variety of all places. I've been getting the news in strange places. That news, Kyle, just a quick one for you. Your reaction, your take. Is Fortnite dead? Is this what's happening?
I wouldn't say dead, but two completely different products that I think can be sustainable.
Yeah, because a lot of people like to say that, you know, just because this game's growing really fast, another one has to die. Brandon, what do you think? What has gotten this game so much steam behind it?
I think Fortnite helped it. So obviously, you know, people can make that correlation like, try Apex Legends. Well, what's it like? It's like Fortnite. Fortnite, I guess, to a certain degree, had PUBG, but Fortnite introduced so many new things that Fortnite was like its own thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
The only comparison was that it was a Battle Royale with 100 people. Mm-hmm. So, you know, granted, Apex Legends has done a lot of new things and done a lot of things really, really well. You know, you could still make that connection where people say, everybody knows what Fortnite is. You just say, hey, it's like Fortnite.
Yeah.
So I think that's gotten them the bump that kind of got them to the point where they're at now. Mm-hmm. So the initial growth was probably based a lot off of that sort of thing, but at least in my opinion. But beyond that, you know, I think if they're going to try to reach total Fortnite numbers, they're going to have to go with mobile at some point. They absolutely have to. And
that's true. But also look at like Apex Legends, 50 million players. It's only on 3 platforms, right? It's not even on Switch yet. Which is nuts. You know?
Yeah. But you know, when you look at Fortnite's 150 million or more now, but
it's like 200, something crazy. A number that shouldn't be possible.
A huge portion of that's mobile. Yeah. So in order to hit even close to that number, mobile's going to have to be involved at some point. But even beyond that, like I know that they're supposed to be working on cross-platform. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that could help the longevity of the game. Maybe not the total numbers, but at least could help the longevity of the game. I
don't know if it's going to be on mobile. Yeah, because first off, this is a PlayStation show, and secondly, but also I just don't think there's no way you make that game work on mobile. I don't see that layout happening.
Well, I didn't really think that I would see Fortnite or PUBG on mobile, but
that's true.
Somehow they did it. That doesn't mean it plays well, but I'd much rather play it on the PlayStation because I'm on the trophy room right now. But I'd much rather play it on the PlayStation anyway. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's possible. Will it happen? I'm not really sure. Will it be good if it does happen? Probably not. But
you know, I don't know. Always a possibility. With that, the next Apex news we got: new Apex character leak coming soon with a battle pass. This comes from Digital Trends. The first post-launch character for Apex Legends will be named Octane, and he will arrive around March 12th alongside the Battle Pass, but he won't actually be included in the Battle Pass. The pass will reportedly be purchasable using real cash as opposed to the in-game coins, and it will be released as a part of the game's first-year roadmap. The roadmap will also add additional weapons and loot to the game, the Havoc energy rifle being one of them. So with that, my question for both of you guys, I'll go with you first, Brandon. Are you going to buy this Battle Pass? If not, what price point will it take for you to pull the trigger? Literally.
It's very likely that I'll buy this Battle Pass. I've loved playing the game. I would probably be considered full trash.
That's
as far as my skill level, but I still love playing it. Like even if I am trash, as long as I can find people like Alex that'll carry me in a game. I'm enjoying it. So it's likely that I'll get the Battle Pass. But I think in order for them to have it make sense, it's going to have to be comparable in price to whatever Fortnite's got going on. So
$10.
Yeah, but, $10, or if you want to do the bump up a few tiers, you could pay the $20 or whatever the case is.
Okay.
I think it's going to have to be comparable.
All right, Kyle, what do you think?
I'm happy that it's getting a Battle Pass, but personally, I've never bought a Battle Pass in Fortnite, and I probably won't.
All right, Apex. So enough negativity there. I don't need it.
It's not negative. It's just I'm not like Brandon said. Yeah. I am hot garbage at these type of shooters, but again, I also have a ton of fun when I'm playing. Yeah, and just hearing speaking about this new character Octane, I just love that name.
Yep,
and I hope it's like a flamethrower. Or something as like a special weapon or
thing. Yeah, he's definitely some type of crazy dude. I seen a picture of him. He looks dope and crazy. With that though, I understand the whole being carried business because I was carrying this kid named Luke Lore the other day. All these Xbox dorks, they're just like, PlayStation gamers suck, but they always want me in their team because I carry them. I carry them to victory. Even though every time I loot things with them, it's like I'm the guy at Forever 21 waiting on the bench while their girlfriends try on all the different dresses. I'm like, guys, pick the guns. It's like you just hover over them while you walk. You pick it up. It's easy. You identify it with your eyeballs. It works, guys. Yeah. Should have had my back at the bunker, and they didn't. They let me down. They let me fucking down. With that, Kyle, let's get to the Flash news. This one's just real fast, and I'll take it for you if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
There's going to be new VR. Sorry, What am I talking about right now, guys?
You sure you want to take it from me?
Yes, I am. I'm so sure. What VR excited about? That was the new segment we had planned. This is in Flash News. And Beat Saber DLC is coming. I'm just going to say the first sentence of this. Beat Games recently announced the first add-on music pack for Beat Saber, set to arrive next week, March 14th. Everyone, go get this DLC right now. I didn't see the price to it, but it doesn't matter. Go out there, get it. It's awesome. There's also going to be free songs that they give to everyone as the year goes on. But please support Beat Saber. It's so great. Again, PSVR. Give it some damn love. Dust it off, damn it. Dust it off. With that, I'm tired of reading all the goobers. I'm real bad at it, Kyle. Let's get to the next goober, shall we say?
You mean rumor has it?
Rumor has it.
Rumor, this comes from Push Square. The Last of Us Part 2, 2019 release date, speculation intensifies. Ooh. A Peruvian retailer, Law Gamers, advertising an October 2019 release date. Okay, we know what you're thinking. Retailers have a habit of leaking supposed dates and new games, and a lot of the time these leaks don't amount to much. That could well be the case here, but let's not forget that Sony recently held its Destination PlayStation event, where it presents its games to retailers and publishers. We guess it's possible that this supposed leak is a knock-on effect of that event.
All right, with that, this isn't happening, right?
I'd be shocked.
I would be shocked. I'd be appalled, to be completely honest.
It'd be a happy shock.
Yeah.
It'd be a very happy shock.
Brandon,
no way.
How could we have made it this far without knowing something about it? I mean, obviously, we've seen screenshots and all sorts of stuff, but how would we not know the release date this close?
And especially since Sony's not going to be at E3, I feel like that would be such a huge place to say, hey, it's coming out this fall.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be at E3, so why? They're just going to, like, say, oh, it's coming out. That's it? Not have, like, a big to-do about it? I don't know.
Yeah. Eric writes in with this question, just like you can via PS Trophy Room on Twitter. Remember that Sekiro giveaway. Or on the Casa de Bad Bit Discord server, and ask this question right here. Regarding the release date news and rumors for both games, should we as gamers try to fully believe the placeholder dates for games, or should we wait until an official announcement from the publisher themselves to formally announce it? For me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think, yeah, absolutely, because we're going to talk about Death Stranding in a second. That game, Kojima's just like, hey guys, wait a little bit longer, right? It's gotten delayed a little bit. Last year, we were talking about, is this game coming out 2019? There's rumors everywhere that it's coming out 2019. And while I was doing research for The Last of Us, I saw all these sites hop on the bandwagon of, is Death Stranding coming out first half of 2019? Secret launch? Like, no. Don't believe any of these placeholder dates. 98% of the time, they're wrong. Mm-hmm. Don't believe them. Hashtag fake news. Right? Simple as that?
Yeah, just think about how long it took for us to get Kingdom Hearts 3. Or The Last Guardian.
Sure.
Or Final Fantasy 15 getting delayed a bunch of times.
Yeah. With that, let's get to the next part. Let's talk about Death Stranding, shall we?
Talk about the second game?
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima says Death Stranding is behind schedule, but just a bit. This comes from US Gamer. In a new interview with J-Wave, Kojima was asked about Death Stranding's release date. Mm-hmm. Well, technically, he was told that fans are eagerly anticipating a Death Stranding release date, but same difference. In any case, Kojima admitted during the interview that Death Stranding is behind schedule. Many studios lag behind their planned release date, said Kojima, and Death Stranding is slightly behind our initial plan, but it's not too far behind. Considering we never had a release date for Death Stranding in the first place, it's hard to really place this bit of information in context. You can't delay something that was never dated.
Oh, hot damn. So yeah, like it goes back to our last question of just like, don't believe the placeholder dates. Especially like you'll always hear one where it's just like a new Mario game coming out this December. I'm just like, December's a placeholder date. That's everybody says December. If they have a SKU, they just don't have a date for it yet. That's what they all do. Yeah. So don't believe that. Also, getting this from US Gamer, getting these quotes were so hard because it was translated via Google Translate, and not a lot of people had the in-depth knowledge. So with that, I got a question for you too. All right, I'm going to start with Brandon first. What game's coming out first? Is it Death Stranding or The Last of Us? Why or why not?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think?
I don't know if I have a really good reasoning for it, but I think that Last of Us is probably coming out first. I don't know. I just feel like it's further along just based on news and stuff that I've read. And just, I don't know, I've probably followed it closer too, but I just feel like Last of Us is probably coming out.
Yeah, are you first. A big like Kojima fan at all or not?
I mean, not historically. I've watched everything that's come out for Death Stranding, as far as I know, all the videos that's come out, and I'm I'm still to this day trying to wrap my head around some of the stuff that I saw. Like, what just happened?
You're not.
I'm not sure. It looks interesting. I think I'll play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll play it just to see like where does all this stuff go. But it's interesting.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you think? What comes out first, Last of Us or Death Stranding?
See, I'm on the opposite side. Ooh. I think Death Stranding is out first.
Same here. Why is that? Why do you think that, sir?
It goes back to, again, it's something Kojima said, and when he's saying in this, like, it's a little bit behind schedule, a little bit. I can kind of understand where he's coming from. He said he wants it to, like, time it with the Olympic Games. His goal was to get it out before the next Olympic Games.
And that's in Tokyo, right?
In Tokyo, yes.
Okay.
And that's
how does that tie in? in his brain. I wonder how that.
I don't know.
In.
Like I guess to give fans like a time frame of when he was expecting to have it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that one's gonna be out a little bit sooner than Last of Us, and just like this hurts me if it doesn't come out this year, because I played that video game fantasy league thing, Fantasy Critic Games or whatever.
Yeah.
And I picked Death Stranding as part of my team, and this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt.
Yeah, I think Death Stranding's first just because they want a palate cleanser. Like Days Gone again.
True.
I'm really hyped for this game. I can't wait for Days Gone. I was so worried it's gonna be a crackdown, but let's be honest, woof. That was another dig at the guys over at the Xbox Drive. But yeah, like I'm very excited for Days Gone, and I want to have a little bit of a palate cleanse before I play The Last of Us. That is somewhat post-apocalyptic with zombies as well. So a nice palate cleanser with the weirdness that is Kojima. I'm down to clown. Yes.
No, real quick, I'm gonna throw a wrench in this.
How dare you?
What if I put Ghost of Tsushima?
No.
Out of those three, which one's first? You still say Death
I
Stranding?
think I even think Ghost of Tsushima's probably second.
Okay.
It's probably second. But you know what? It could be the dark horse for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that, Kyle, we're running a little bit long of the tooth. Let's bunker down. Brandon, hold on to something. Because you know what time it is? It's time for the drop. Every week, the latest and greatest in PlayStation launches. We got all these great games. We got all these great indies coming onto the PlayStation platform, but there's just too many. So what I decided to do, because I'm lazy, is that each one of us highlight a game that we're interested in, that we want to give a nice little spotlight to, and shine some light on, so maybe you'll go out there, purchase it, or maybe give these devs a shout out. So with that, Brandon, I forgot to tell you to go pick something out. so I'll save the best for last. First things first, I picked, and I could have picked Devil May Cry. So Brandon, that's an idea. I picked Ghoul Boy, the Dark Sword of Goblin instead. Why? Because Ghoul Boy, dope name. I like it. And Ghoul Boy is a retro-inspired action platformer that combines our action RPG genre with the hack and slash gameplay. Slay as many monsters as you can, collect loot, avoid dangerous traps, and defeat the menacing bosses. So that's why I picked it. Actually, the description sounds dope. I honestly, God, think that's the best description I have seen so far. In all the drops, that's the best one. Kyle, what's your pick for the drops there?
I think this is actually a really good week for some smaller games. I had a toss-up between a couple.
Okay.
But I went with Beat Cop.
Ooh.
Beat Cop is something that I watched Kind of Funny do a Let's Play of years ago. And it's finally out on consoles. Nice. Beat Cop is a retro pixel art style adventure in New York inspired by 80s cop shows. Stay vigilant and quick-witted, but remember that if this won't work, you can always do some old school jaw wrecking. It's the 80s after all. It's just like a silly little game. I'm excited.
I love pixel art, and I saw the screens for this game, and it looks dope. I'm looking forward to playing it.
I would like to also let you all know that Ghoul Boy is on the PlayStation Vita. Rip. $8. Can't go wrong. Brandon, did you find something? Don't worry. Don't feel pressure.
Well, I've heard a lot of press, and I actually saw like a thing where they put all the numbers, the review numbers together, and I hear that Devil May Cry is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And it's dropping soon.
I'm buying it because back in September I talked about how there could have been microtransactions, and I was very hesitant, and I said I was going to wait till reviews to see if microtransactions affect the game before I buy it. So I'm really looking forward to put my money where my mouth is and to be wrong. Because a lot of YouTubers nowadays, they all post about how they were always right, how this was always their hunch. I always like to show that we're people at the end of the day. I want to be proved wrong. I'm excited for it. I like that one, Brandon. I like it a lot. With that,
I went the easy route. Sorry.
No, don't worry.
No, that's a great pick.
Listen, that was on me. And with that, we have my favorite segment on the show, Andrew House's Snail Mail. Now, gang, these are questions that if I can't find the right topic for, so like, for example, you saw Eric wrote in about The Last of Us and Death Stranding, right? Boho talked about Anthem. I put them in there. But sometimes you guys give us great questions that don't have to involve the news of the week. So you could go over to the Trophy Room, PS Trophy Room on Twitter, ask us a question, Casa de Bad Bit Discord as well, ask us a question, and you have a good chance to get it on the show. But if you don't want to do that, you can send all your mail to Andrew House, and each and every week I take a flight over to Great Britain. And when I mean take a flight, I mean I have stolen a fighter jet. That's right. I have a stealth bomber that I have stolen from the U.S. government. I have somehow gotten the knowledge because I've seen enough Top Gun to fly one of these bad boys. And I put it into stealth mode, just like in, like the Wonder Woman jet, or like, how I remember it, the X-Men, the badass jet. And I'm just going by Andy's house. I just look out the window and I jump. I have that squirrel suit, so I'm just like, I'm kind of like Mission Impossible-ing it, and then I land. But when I land on Andy's house, I do a duck and roll, so I land perfectly. I don't splat. Because as long as you aim for the bush or a roof and you do a roll, that just builds momentum and you won't splat. Trust me, take my word for it. Go try it out yourselves. With that, I go and then I jump.
Don't.
Listen, you just gotta go with me here. I jump down the chimney because remember that forward momentum I've built. I've played enough Apex. I know what I'm talking about. Get stuck in the chimney because I did not lather myself with Costco butter this time. Oh, so Andy wakes up from his stupor and he's just like, "Son of a bitch, happened again," and then he's got to tug me out. He grabs me by my ankles. He's kind of like shimming me down the chimney. But for somehow, right, my pants rip off, which just don't make sense because they were a little baggy at the time. And so now I'm Donald Ducking it inside of Andy's house's living room. And then I do a little slap. I slap him in the mouth. I run over to his kitchen, grab his licorice, grab his Turkish delights. I jet out, I do a slide, and then I take the mail. I go, "Andy, I got you again, you son of a bitch. I got you again." And this question comes from the most famous Seamus I've ever met in my whole entire life, and he asks
Hello,
this.
British intelligence?
Oh man!
Oh my god! It's every week it gets more and more involved.
Sekiro. Do you think Sekiro has a slim chance of overtaking Bloodborne as the game of the generation? Now, Brandon, if you don't know, I'm a pretty big Bloodborne fan. So much so that I got this little statue over from Think Geek. 50 doll hairs, worth it. It looks dope. I love it. And I always say, Bloodborne wasn't just the game of the year 2014, it was also the game of this generation. So with that, are you hyped for Sekiro? Do you think it's going to be better than Bloodborne? Are you into From Software games in general?
I am hyped for Sekiro.
Good.
I have tried very hard.
Mm-hmm. That's what she said.
To get into Bloodborne. Mm-hmm. I've tried really hard. I really have, and it is not. It's not my thing.
Kyle, on to you.
But I feel like Sekiro. I feel like Sekiro is like. I feel like it's different enough that I think that I'm going to be much more involved in it.
The news,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. The news I'm hearing, because I got the ear to the ground at all times, is that Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is brutal, but it is the best entry for newcomers. It's more newcomer friendly than Bloodborne or Dark Souls. So for me, I'm pumped because I just get another From Software game. And at the same exact time, for people like you two who are into the brutal difficulty, if this game is more newcomer friendly, you guys get an entry. And you guys get to see through my eyes of why From Software is the best developer of all time.
I'm definitely excited to check it out.
All right. Nasty Boots writes in. He says, if a PlayStation Vita falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Also,
I dare you. I'm warning.
You're bad, Nasty. Also, do you think the PlayStation 5 will go down the route of a disc-less system at a cheaper price? Now, God, okay. Hey, everybody, it's me. My name's Joseph. I'm not in my car. I'm going to interrupt Kyle while he talks. You're listening to X Marks the Spot. So with that, Microsoft announced that, there was a rumor that Microsoft has this Xbox Maverick that's coming out, right? This Maverick is going to be a disc-less console. Because if you say disc-less way too fast, it sounds like dickless. And then you immediately think of Ghostbusters when Bill Murray goes, "This man has no dick." I chuckle. We're all 5 on the inside. So this Maverick console, not going to have an optical drive whatsoever. It's going to be launched at, I think they said somewhere in April. So is PlayStation going to do the same? And do you think Maverick's a good idea? I'll go with you, Kyle, sir.
First off, sorry, Luke and Sean. There's a lot of shots fired at you this episode. I think there will be a PS5, a disc-less system. I think it's going to be like a separate SKU. At least I really hope so. I've said this on the show before. I'm a physical media person, and my internet does not give me access or will not let me download these massive games in a short amount of time. So but yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me. Digital is the future, as much as I'm not a fan of it. And this just makes the most sense to have a system without a hard drive or a disk drive in it.
You will Dido white flag if you see a PlayStation 4 discless. That was a reference. I was shooting real long with that one because you said I will go down with my ship, and then I immediately thought I will go down with this ship. I will throw my hands up and surrender. And then I remembered that I've had way too much caffeine. It's finally kicked in halfway through the show. Brandon, what do you think about a discless PS4? You think it could be a reality? What do you think of the Maverick itself, its idea?
I think the Maverick is a great idea as a separate SKU. So like Kyle has already said that if the PS5 decides to go that route, I think it also has to be a separate SKU. Like, I honestly don't think the industry is ready for completely digital.
Right. So
kind of shoehorning the PS5 into making that decision for you, I think would be an incredibly bad move by Sony.
Well, I don't think like PlayStation 5, but like what do you think about like a PlayStation 4 with a no optical drive?
I think as a separate SKU, I think it could work. I think if it gives people that don't have a Sony console like a cheaper intro into it, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I'd love to see more PlayStation players.
Yeah, for me, I'm thinking the same thing in terms of like, I think the Maverick's a great idea because it introduces the idea of this is the future. Right, like this box, there is no disc, right? There is no spoon. You don't need it. And it kind of gives that introduction to gamers of a cheaper option, introduce them to your digital marketplace. And then when the next consoles come out and you find that they are like the size of these AirPods because I'm hip and cool, I think people are going to be way more down with that idea than ever because you just introduced it. I don't think the Maverick's here to sell Xboxes. I even think, we didn't do the sales numbers of February, but man, Xbox only sold 50,000 in the month of February, where PlayStation and Nintendo sold over 200,000. So it's not meant to sell consoles. I think it's meant to get the idea of an all digital future out there, at least warm people up to it. For me, a PlayStation idea or replicant would be a dope idea. I would just like to call out Xbox for this completely unoriginal idea that they stole from Microsoft in the first place with the PSP Go, because that was a truly first all-digital console. So, Phil Spencer, get an original idea. Our last question comes from Bobby Miller himself. He goes, okay, quick question. If Anthem and EA would have decided to make an Apex Legends style game...
I think he meant BioWare.
Okay, make a Apex style game, would it still have failed? I hate to say it, but Anthem is the mag of 2019. Ouch. I wanted it to do good, but I think Anthem is just too similar to Warframe/Destiny and the reviews. I mean, rip. Man, listen, Brandon, you have an Anthem podcast. I'm sorry for bringing you on here. A lot of people are trashing your game. So with that, do you think Anthem's way too similar to a Warframe or Destiny? Do you think those comparisons are apt?
I definitely do think, and we actually talked about this. Just the fact that we have an Anthem podcast doesn't necessarily mean we've been entirely favorable. This week we entirely went over all of the issues that have been coming up recently. So, yeah, it definitely fits into that picture. Mm-hmm. I think that it does enough things that are different if EA is able to get a handle on it and expand those things. Mm-hmm. That I think it has potential. You know, will they get behind it enough with all the issues that it's already had? Will they get it behind it enough to actually see that through? I'm not really sure, but I hope that they do, because I couldn't get a refund on it.
No.
No, I really am hopeful for the game. I hope it turns out. I hope it turns out the way that I imagine that it could be. Mm-hmm. I hope it hits that at some point one day. Mm-hmm. I'm going to hang around and at least try it when it gets further, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, Kyle, what do you think here? Do you think the similarities between the other looter shooters, is that fair? Do you think if they made some type of, I don't think an Apex style game, I think I would change it around. I think this game would have done a lot better if it was a single player focused game, mm-hmm. with the option of having people come into your game.
That's 100%. A good point.
Yeah. I think that would have been a better fit for BioWare, actually, mm-hmm. Because of their lineage. And I think it's okay that these looter shooters are very similar to each other in some ways, because they each do something a little bit different that makes it unique in its own right. Yeah. I mean, that's why we have so many different battle royales. They all have a little different thing to each thing, or to themselves. Right. Man, hard to find words right now. I got you. And those little tiny things that make them different is what's making them unique, and I think it's totally fine. Anthem and Warframe and Destiny can all live in the same universe and be their own thing. And now with the Division coming out soon, like there's going to be another one in the same thing. Yeah. I think it's fine. And I think the comparisons are going to happen. So
I think, what we said earlier, EA needs to get out of the way of their developers, and I think that a game that rings true to my head when I'm thinking of Anthem is Diablo, because Diablo is a great time whether you're playing it solo or you're playing it with friends. Anthem should have taken a Diablo approach of, let's figure out a good story first. Let's then figure out, and how people could play alone, and how we can adjust the game based on if people want to bring friends into the mold. I think that would have been a way better approach to it. I don't know. Brandon, anything you want to add before we close out the show?
Not on that note, but I definitely appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
I love hanging out with the beautiful bearded fellas. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And Brandon, before we go, where can people find you? What places are you at, sir?
Well, you can find me on pretty much any social media at RebelRedSix, and that's SIX spelled out. Or you can check us out at the OkBeast Podcast.
Is that a weekly show?
That is a weekly show that drops on Mondays.
Ooh, with you and Alex.
Man, I was so excited when I saw that OkBeast was in a Matt Pet video.
Yo, that's crazy.
I was pretty excited about that too.
Whew, man, it gave me goosebumps. So congrats, you guys are amazing. So
yeah, big congrats to you guys. Kyle, where can they find you? Get all the plugs out of the way, man.
Sure, you can find me at WhoDatNinja73 on Twitter and on PSN. So send me that friend request. You can find my show All About the Kind of Funny Community, Best Friends Talk Funny on Twitter at BFS Talk Funny, and on podcast services wherever you listen to. Do the podcast thing, rate it 5 stars, review. Let me know if you want to be on the show, and I'll add you to my ever-growing list of best friends that I want to have on. And also, because we usually do this every episode, we want to shout out somebody in the video game industry and show them some positivity and love. And I nominate this week, go show some love to Sony Bend. At Bend Studios on Twitter, and go show them love. Tell them if you're hyped for Days Gone, and because we are.
Feed that passion. That's terrific.
Absolutely.
God, that's why the best co-host whoever is or whoever will be. All that.
I try.
Guys, you can find us over at PS Trophy Room. Again, we have that Sekiro Shadows Die Twice giveaway. Go follow PS Trophy Room on Twitter. Or if you don't believe in Twitter and you think it's the devil or whatever have you, rate us 5 stars on iTunes. It helps us out. It shows us on all the feeds. Also, big shout out to Jesse Armstrong, who told me via on Twitch that, hey, for some reason, the Trophy Room's listed under Hobbies Automotive. I'm like, what? And it was. iTunes, what the hell? I can't go up against Car Talk. Are you kidding me? Maybe the Xbox Drive. But no, not us. So with that, everybody, go follow Trophy Room. Please give us the 5 stars. It really does help. It really does grow this community. It means a great deal to me if you did it, and Kyle, and Brandon for that matter. So with all that said, with all that out of the way, everybody, keep your wits about you. Wait, no, wrong one. Nope. It's been a while. Keep hunting and keep playing PlayStation.